Hello, my friends, and welcome back. I'm Chisgule Gaming, and in today's video, man, it's funny because I feel a bit like Esmeralda, the fortune teller. I predicted these things would be coming to Rise of Kingdoms. Here they are in the face-to-face with the developers. They're now talking about things like the way Zenith of Power and cosmetics are going to work. Well, GG. Use the timestamps, jump to whichever part you'd like. Consider subscribing for an advanced read on the future of Rise of Kingdoms before it happens, because, oh my god, I feel like I'm having deja vu. Things that I said would come to pass have come to pass. Here we go, baby. Are you ready for this? Up first, the new version of Crystal technology is an improvement, but it makes it very hard to defeat garrisons and hinders the pace of battles. I suggest improving offensive attributes. Now, look, I don't know that improving offensive attributes is the answer. I actually would disagree strongly with purely increasing the offensive attributes. I think that'd be a mistake. But the developers said we're making some balance adjustments, such as tweaking the past glory buff and some of the offensive bonuses from Crystal Tech. Based on the combat data we've collected from each phase, we're also designating asymmetric buffs for rallies and garrisons, which should help prevent deadlocks. I think, personally, rather than imbalance the meta, they should do what they've already done in Call of Dragons. In Call of Dragons, every 5 or 10 minutes or so, there's something called battle acceleration, where the pace of the rally and the garrison and their losses is dramatically increased. I don't know exactly how you make that work with swarming, but they seem to have done it in Call of Dragons. But this is a far more exciting way to break a deadlock. It makes it so that you have to reinforce faster and faster and faster and faster and faster and faster and faster until one side breaks because the velocity is just too high. That, in my opinion, is a better way to break a deadlock than to make a offensive meta that inherently makes it difficult to defend stuff. Both are fine ways, I suppose, to solve the problem. One allows you to have still balance, which is what the battle acceleration does. The other intentionally creates the imbalance, which I think is not as good of a solution. So my 2 cents, battle acceleration is incredibly fun. It's actually incredibly exciting. It just really amps up the pace, bro. It's good. Do that. I don't know about this. And this may also be fine, but I think that you want to break up a deadlock? Battle acceleration is the obvious answer. Please add a browser-based map planning tool that allows kingdom leaders to draw on, download, and share KVK maps before KVK begins. This would make planning battles much easier. What I see here is actually that a player is saying preparing to enter into a zone is so much coordination burden. It is a overly cumbersome level of burden to coordinate how we're going to enter into a zone and coordinate with our shells and other kingdoms. That's what they're saying. They're asking for a solution, but you need to pare back. I used to work in product management. You need to strip away the solution they're presenting to understand the problem. And I think the problem is it's freaking hard to plan for a pass opening. And they say, as a response, we've got a variety of kingdom management tools on the way, including a kingdom governor search, unrelated to their question. Kingdom graphs, I think also unrelated to their question, but maybe a graph is, they mean map. Voice chat, also unrelated to the question. And a wider variety of map icons, maybe related to this question. We also plan on adding map planning tools at a later date. Oh, okay. Interesting. Map planning tools. I mean, I think this points to zones being too complicated to enter, but I think map planning tools would be a W for players. I mean, right, there's like 2 ways to slice it. One is make it easier for players to plan. Another is slice off some of the complexity and really assess, like, is this complexity like really necessary to make the gameplay fun? I don't know. Okay, up next. Why was Kingdom team formation removed after the Pioneer test? So the team formation rules in the Pioneer test were balanced for the Storm of Stratagem's story. Based on the feedback we received, we found that these rules were not a great fit for the 4-camp stories like Heroic Anthem. We've temporarily taken the feature offline while we make adjustments. I don't really have a strong opinion on this one personally. Okay, up next, KVK matchmaking needs rework. I mean, guys, I feel like this was the story of my life for like how many years ago? Yes, you've heard me say this in the context of the 1254 days, back when we got into a KVK and nobody showed up for Kingsland. You've heard me say this in the context of my Nile KVK, where it's like, we got matched up with a kingdom we couldn't possibly beat, and other people that wanted a hard fight got matched up with kingdoms that were so easy, they were bored all season. And it's like, how is it that the appropriate teams didn't fight each other and instead, like, total mismatches? It felt like, as a player, that's what was happening, right? Like, how is that possible? And I surmised the only way that could work is if in a game mode or format where they're doing, like, team formation in advance, they must just be, like, randomly assigning teams to fight each other, rather than, like, assessing to make sure the teams are of equal strength in some way. Or there's some metrics they're looking at that we're not, that somehow make them seem fair, but, like, intuitively to players it seemed unfair, and then the result was really obvious, and it worked out exactly the way players thought it would. So, like, there are situations where the matchmaking logic is not clear, and camps are severely mismatched. I would say yes, and even if the matches were fair, I think some number of players are going to say they're mismatched anyways, right? So they say, we're sorry to hear that you've had a negative experience with KVK matchmaking. We have a few changes planned to help address the matchmaking balance issues. This is a big deal. In the near future, we'll be launching a kingdom info tool to give you more objective evaluation of your kingdom's actual strength. Transparency. I think that's a W. We'll continue to expand this tool in the future with new features, power graphs for kingdoms and domains. We welcome any feedback you may have. I think transparency is a huge W here. I'm on board for that. We'll relaunch the Pioneer test for kingdom team formation as soon as we can, which will help reduce unsatisfactory camp pairings. Okay. I mean, at the end of the day, if you can't get the matchmaking right, there's no game. I'm just going to say it. There's basically, if there's no end game, there's no game. The end game is KVK. So you have to get the matchmaking right. If you can't get matchmaking right, there's no game. And I think there have been KVKs where Rise of Kingdoms has done a really great job here. But I've also had KVK experiences where it's like, why did we queue? I think there's there are few greater or more important things than this for the state of the game, for players that are in the end game that have been here a long time. And I said long ago, the obvious solution, which will happen, this will happen, 100% this will happen. Even though the devs haven't announced it's coming, and they may not even be talking about it internally, but I bet they have, 100% they will reduce the number of times you can, the frequency with which you can queue for KVK. That will happen. It has to. It's the literal only way. We saw in 1960, their king, Seawill, get to the finish line, and, he basically said, I have conquered every mountain. There are no more kingdoms to fight. And I think there's really, like, no question, not a one, that they absolutely must reduce the number of times that you can sign up for KVK so that the pool of players and kingdoms is bigger, so that you get better matchmaking. Like, if you want better matches, have half as many times where you can queue. And now you've doubled the size of your kingdom pool. It doesn't actually work like that. And I'm surprised that every time I get a report, it jumps my position here in the favorites screen. But whatever. Like, they absolutely must. And I think, I may or may not be right, but I surmise that they must have monthly queues instead of twice a month, right? And that will dramatically increase the pool of kingdoms, which will inherently improve matchmaking quality because there will be more equally sized kingdoms to pair with. I'm telling you, this is coming. It's so obvious. From a million miles away, it couldn't possibly be more obvious. Is it nicer to have more frequent pops as a player from the perspective of convenience? Sure. But if you don't have good matchmaking, there is no game. I'm not saying the matchmaking is bad. I'm just saying if people are saying that they feel things are mismatched, there's an easy solution. I think they got to pull the trigger on that. And I had to pull the trigger on it when I suggested it 3 or 4 years ago. Please release more historical and realistic city themes in the future. I mean, I think that's kind of a fair ask. History has always been at the heart of ROK. Rest assured, we plan on releasing more historically themed cities. It is really funny. why aren't the city themes based on history? Like my city theme feels like it's based off The Little Mermaid, you know, with like the bright blue and pink unicorn wings. My daughter thinks it's very Little Mermaidy, right? My daughter thinks the cosmetics are very Little Mermaidy. If we get a look at, where is it? Right? She loves this stuff, man. She feels like she's right in a children's show. But like, what about some history-based stuff? That is great feedback. I feel, hey, look, if I was put in charge of cosmetics in Rise of Kingdoms, I would quadruple the popularity of those cosmetics. I am only half joking. I am only half joking. But this is a great idea. Like, you don't even have to be creative. Like, this is I didn't think of this, but this is like really, this is a great idea. Please modify the Zenith of Power event. All right, so this is one of those things where I told you this was going to happen, and here it is. This is why you subscribe to the channel, and if you aren't already subscribed, please consider doing so. Granting city themes based on rankings motivates everyone to raise their power by hoarding resources instead of fighting. What's more, those who don't rank in the top 10 don't earn a city theme and get made fun of. Oh, they don't just get made fun of. They digitally seppuku and depart from the game, right? It's over. They leave. Like, I want to know what the quit rate is of players who get 11th in Zenith of Power. I genuinely want to know what is the rate with which people who get 11th in Zenith quit the game. I want to know. And it's so bad that it's like a binary all or nothing. You either are a winner or a loser. I mean, quote Ricky Bobby, you're either first or you're last. And in this case, you're either top 10 or it sucks to suck. We're planning on adding new exchange currency to ensure all governors have a chance of earning the city theme. Here's how it works. It works exactly like I showed you from Call of Dragons. You've seen this before. I will have a video in the end screen. Basically, for every 5 million power you train, you're going to get 1 currency item. And it's going to take 6 currency items, 30 million power worth of training, in order to get a new city theme. That's how it works in Call of Dragons. That's probably how it's going to work here. In Call of Dragons, they also have a cosmetic you can get. So the reason you want to be in the top 10 is that you still get the city theme, but then you can use your currency to get a cosmetic on top of that that adds even more stats. They're going to copy this in Rise of Kingdoms. They absolutely have to. It's one of the most elegant design improvements I have seen possibly ever in this genre, and I can't believe it's like, once I saw it, I was like, oh my God, it's so good. It's so good. It doesn't get any better than this. And like, I couldn't have seen it. Wow, it's so well done. 11 out of 10. Technically, it's still 10 out of 10 that get the rankings. But you know, now the 11th place person isn't going to quit the game. So, yeah, I hope that they do something exactly like that because it's just so well done. The only thing that's weird about it is now literally everyone will only train in Zenith, or will try to, because you don't need to be top 10 to get the currency. And in Call of Dragons, you can just accumulate that currency over time and then exchange for a city theme that you want. So it's such a W all the way around because everybody will basically still be training for Zenith. So it doesn't solve the problem of hoarding, because everyone will gain power in Zenith instead, because now you can be getting city themes. And if they don't make that currency expire, like the way it works in Call of Dragons, this is just going to be a massive freaking W. You can see all about this. Card in the end screen will be for that video, okay? But this is why you subscribe. You get all this. You knew this months ago, that this was how it was going to go. Please release more unique cosmetics. I'd like to be able to differentiate myself from other players. Oh, for sure they're putting out more cosmetics, bro. Like, they did not put out a cosmetic shop for the purpose of having just a small number of cosmetics. We're going to have hundreds of these things coming up, I'm telling you. We've got several things in the work to improve the range of cosmetic options. Legendary city themes to redeem in the season shop. That's exciting. New legendary city themes in the season shop. Hopefully from KVK, those come from the season coins, not the conquest coins. We plan on adding a new ROK level system, which can be increased by purchasing bundles. Wait, what? Increasing your level will allow your character to acquire and upgrade exclusive cosmetics. I gotta buy a bundle to get a cosmetic level? Bro, I don't know. These cosmetics will not be permanent? No. Me personally, guys, I like to collect stuff. I don't rent stuff. I don't rent my car. I don't rent my house. I don't want to rent cosmetics. I want to own them. I don't want to rent them. My 2 cents. They can be renewed by meeting certain conditions. I don't know. This is, to me, it feels like collecting 101. I don't want to rent my collection. I'm not an art gallery. All right? Yeah, I don't think of it as an art gallery either, where it's like, yes, welcome to, you know, the Chisgule Galleria. On display today, we have this painting from, you know, the such and such province. Like, no. Like, that's, like, I personally, I want to own what I got. I don't want to rent it. I said that a while ago. I still feel that way. And that's the way I feel about that's not going to change. Could just be me. New paid customization feature unlocked by reaching the highest ROK level. Create a new exclusive city theme based on an existing one. Paid customization feature unlocked by reaching the highest ROK level. I don't understand this ROK level thing. Like, if you wanted, like, to me, this feels like what VIP should have been for. And instead of making it so that the VIP overflow was like the wheel thing, I actually think the wheel thing is pretty reasonable. I don't know. This is like an alternative to a VIP system. Like, I don't know that I want to go out of my way to buy a cosmetic level. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'll really like it. But my instinct is a little bit of head scratching around renting the cosmetics. Oh my God. Now this is big. But hey, Chisgule for head of cosmetics in 2026. I will make cosmetics so great again. Okay. Anyways, there's too much piloting in open field battles, making it impossible for kingdoms without pilots to keep up. The devs need to get involved. Oh boy. The devs are now openly acknowledging piloting, and I applaud them for this. It's about god dang time we talk about this, chat. Wow. So, you know that piloting creates problems, but you can't blame the players for doing it. It is never, ever the player's fault for playing a meta. And like, obviously more accounts online more of the time. How can you do that? Someone else plays the accounts. That's what a pilot is, right? And so I think, you know, players playing the meta, especially in this genre, this is like so common. But you heard the King of 1960, you know, complete the ultra marathon of leading that kingdom, cross over the finish line of a KVK, and say, this was my last marathon, right? And a part of why he cited it being his last marathon is that he felt like he was running the marathon with a bunch of paid actors. That's what he said, right? A bunch of paid pilots who aren't even in voice and don't add any personality, and he missed the days when he was running the ultra marathon with other runners. Obviously. And so for him, ultra marathoning was no longer something he wanted to do. I thought he was quitting the game based on his mail, but he wasn't. He's like, I don't want to lead anymore. And he went to a more casual kingdom. And I think especially because he creates content, like, total W for him to be out of being a leader. Like, being a leader is the absolute worst decision for a content creator. I would know. I've done it multiple times. It's always a mistake. Without failure. It is a mistake of time use. So, what do they say about this? We are dedicated to providing governors with a fair and balanced playing field. Right now, we're reviewing the impact of piloting on the competitive landscape and are working on a plan to address it. Once the plan is finalized, we'll communicate the details to the community through a face-to-face with the developers and other announcements. From my perspective, I mean, the devs had to have known this was going on, right? For like years and years and years and years, they had to have known. And let's talk about, you know, like, what is the responsibility of a game developer? Like, it's obviously to manage the meta. So like the game works the way that it works because someone intentionally designed it to work this way, right? And so like if they got to the finish line here in this very predictable outcome for piloting, and are surprised, that's a problem. But like, I'm glad to see that they're looking at it. I'm glad to see that that something will be coming. But this could take 3 months easily before they arrive at a conclusion and execute on what to do. Because I don't know what the answer is. Like, this was maybe addressable when it first started to be popular. But quite literally, you know, like the entirety of the game now revolves around this at the top end, the piloting. It's a PvP game, okay? But in a lot of ways, as stated by the King of 960, one of the strongest kingdoms, if not the strongest kingdom in the history of the game, and that may ever exist in this game, right? Like, he said it's a pilot versus pilot game, and that's a problem. And so, like, yeah, the developers are going to have to think about what they want to do here. I don't know what the answer is. Thankfully, that's not my accountability in this instance. But, you know, like, it really changes dramatically the way you think about the game and your relationship with the game when someone else can hop on your account and do stuff. And like, I don't even know that it's necessarily bad when like you want to go on vacation or your family planned a vacation, but there's a KVK and your options are to get kicked from the kingdom or fail to provide for your kingdom and they're mad at you. Like the existence of piloting single-handedly has had the greatest impact on the end game more than any other player-driven activity, I think. So this is massive looking at this, and it's important that they do. And there's like, I could talk for 6 hours just about this, but, and its impact and why it works the way it works and how it works, but let's just move on here. The attack march feature is better than it used to be, but it still needs to be improved. I agree. Okay. If you want people to play more on their own accounts themselves, it needs to be easier to play when you're doing a million things in your life and you're multitasking. And that's the value of Attack March. But at times, Attack March has made me want to claw my eyes out with the quality of the reports. And it's like, oh my God, I keep trusting this and I keep wishing I hadn't. So we're adding additional improvements to Attack March. This is awesome. Look, they absolutely need to do this. Absolute W. Customization to reduce further micromanagement. Yeah. Like, I think that slowing the pace of combat was really good for the game because it made it less about insane APM, that's actions per minute. Like, I'm not trying to play StarCraft, you know? And so slowing the pace made it so that we're out of this like pop meta where if you blinked and didn't have high APM, you lost your army. That's good. But I think further reducing the micro is also a win, right? Like, queue up for any of the PvE events with a pickup group, and you can see why, like, there are big skill issues from the majority of the player base, and like, you need to make it easier for them to perform, in my opinion. Please make regular events less grindy. Some of them now take way too long to complete. That's interesting. I wonder which ones they're referring to. Golden Kingdom is for sure one that, like, every couple weeks I'm spending an hour and I'm like, man, am I looking to do that? Is like this how I want to spend my time? I always do it. I want the rewards. But they're looking to improve the pace of events like Trial of Khal Karak and arms training. We welcome any further feedback our governors may have. Yeah, I mean, I think, like, they are repetitive and grindy. And in a, you know, post-pandemic world, that's really not as interesting to folks. In the pandemic world in which Rise of Kingdoms popped off, the grindiness was a lot more okay, right? Everybody was at home. They were sitting there with nothing to do. Like, sure, I get it. We're out of that world, though. And I think that they need to make some changes. All in all, this might actually be, unironically, one of the best face-to-face with the developers that they've done in as long as I can remember. Because they're actually talking about real issues, not a bunch of bullshitty stuff. Not that I'm saying they're talking about bullshitty stuff in the past, but like, they're hitting real issues here. And they're hitting with like some honest answers, I feel, right? Like this is real honesty going on here, taking a question like piloting and talking about it. And I do believe they are dedicated to providing governors with a fair and balanced playing field. Like I think this is very honest, and I think the honesty is really good. And I think we should applaud this, actually. Right. And I hope that they make improvements to all of the things that they've identified here. And I think that in general, when the developers have listened to players genuinely, that is when they release some of the best features. By such a long shot, it's not even close. Like actually not even close. Player-driven changes are so good, I think, compared to the ones where it's like, we didn't ask for this. What's this? This is good. This is a really good face-to-face with the developers, actually. I think this is incredibly well done. You enjoyed the vid, throw a like on here, subscribe. If you want to see exactly what Zenith of Power is likely to look like, it's going to follow suit from Greatest Heights from Call of Dragons. The developers of these games are extremely close and work together on a lot of stuff. Check the card in the end screen. I mean, you want the advanced look? That's why you're subscribed, and that's why you're going to watch this video right over here.